Nasut is king, ruler, right? Is one of the titles of the king. So Hotep di Nasut is offerings of the king, meaning that the subject is buried, right? But he's part of a kingdom, a civilization, and he gets a proper burial, ordered by the state, and that's the Hotep di Nasut. So a lot of the things that these terms that we use trivially today, right? They actually have important meanings in Kemet, but the way you have to see it in the context of the writings on the wall. And so that way your science is not hidden from it. So for example, we fell into the trap with Pharaoh, right? Which the Greeks might have gotten as Per-A, the great house, right? Per is house, and A is great. Per-A is the great house. But every time you see his name, it's Nasut Bidi. This is title. His title. Sare, right? Nebhor, right? Hey, brother, how you doing? Peace, man. Everything's good. Yourself? So those are the titles. So for the European to come and say, oh, he's the pharaoh, that means he's hiding knowledge, huh? He's hiding knowledge and simple.
Pharaoh means the great house.
That's correct. So when he comes and says pharaoh, what he's doing is simplifying the knowledge. He's saying, I own it, and I'm simplifying the knowledge. So it's important for us to be scientists and start to try to read all of our ancient languages, whether they are Nile Valley, whether it's Islam, whether it's Hebrew, right? So that we can uncover the mysteries.
Actually went through, I tried to go through the stages, like, I tried to study the Israelite doctrine, but that didn't catch me like the Nile Valley. Like when I first got introduced to Nile Valley civilization, it's just like it hit me. Like that's where I was supposed to be. Honestly, that's what made me come to the museum. That's really cool. Start hearing about Nile Valley civilization.
Well, it's good that you came to the museum with us because you got actually to see scholars speak to the artifacts themselves instead of speaking around kings and queens and making up stuff. Either it says what I say or it doesn't say what I say. It's as simple as that, right? And then put it in its timeline, like Horemheb, right? Or Mentuhotep, or Amenemhat, or Zozo. Put these people in the context. And then, luckily, I was able to show you the sacred things like the Wa staff and things like you see all the time, but no one ever bothered to. You've been in the museum before, right? You never saw the Wa staff right before, right? But it's right there. So you have to have someone who knows where to look.
Like I said, I've been to the museum 2 times before I went with you guys, and I learned more the one time I went with you guys than the 2 times that I went before that.
Well, I mean,
I'm not gonna lie.
well, and luckily for myself, I've been to Kemet and Polite has been to Kemet. So, Kemet, Egypt, as most people know it as, right? So, now we have a bigger viewpoint, right? But,
Yo, excuse me, permiso, excuse me. What language you speak, yo?
It's for us to take all this knowledge that we have from all the different sources, right? And find ourselves and or crystallize our thoughts. Right? So there's knowledge everywhere because what was lost in Kemet, it may actually show up in Hebrew, it might show up in Islam. It may show up there. But if you don't know anything about the primary, you wouldn't know what you're looking at.
Exactly.
Right? Because all great people of that time made pilgrimages to ancient Kemet. It was a center of knowledge in the world.
So they did come through Kemet.
Of course, their own story says that they were in Kemet.
So
Right?
why did the Hebrews despise Kemet so much? What is that issue?
Well, it wasn't their civilization. They couldn't run it, and they needed to create a civilization of their own. So they had to deify their own culture. So they deified their own culture. All societies do that. All people do that.
You're right.
Right? They deify their own. Even before Kemet was united,
Alaikum assalam.
before Kemet was united, you had fringe other communities, and you had war. And then a ruler came, Namhar, he united it, and then he deified his civilization and moved out remnants of the other civilization. You have, even though you have King Nasuch like Akhenaten, who was a scientist. There was a battle between science and religion in Kemet. The religious people is the downfall of ancient Kemet. The priesthood.
Science was started there, right? They started with science.
Well, it started itself at the same time. Science and religion was started at the same time. Science is hypotheses that go into experimental stage, like creation of the world, and religion is beliefs. Hypotheses that turn into beliefs. So there was always a battle between man with religion and science. And it's been one of the bloodiest world wars. But I can tell you that religion without science is slavery. Now there are people who are religious who use science to validate their religion. That's a step up. Instead of just being a believer and can't back it up. A regurgitator. There are people that say, well, what you're saying makes sense in my religion. Right? And they use science. They don't use complete science. They have boundaries to where they start. So you have people who are what you call intelligent design that believe that God created an intelligence in the universe and everything that comes is because of God. And then there are other people who believe that that God makes everything, made every species, every animal, every piece of matter. God did that each individually. Those are